Hi everyone, I'm Kerington Alston and welcome to Inspire with Keri. I'm so excited to welcome our guest. She's an authorpreneur, a book coach, and a speaker, Miss Tenita Chantilly Johnson. So, yes, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And I wanted to first kind of jump into, and I should also note you are the author of 18 books, and 7 of which have been an Amazon bestseller, so that's pretty impressive. I wanted to kind of jump in and ask you about authorpreneur. I love that term. What does that mean for you? Because to me, it just sounds like author and entrepreneur. But could you delve into that more about how that applies to you?
Yeah, for sure. So I call myself an entrepreneur, not just an author, because I am a full-time author, publisher, speaker, ghostwriter, all things books. So that is my business. That's not just a pastime.
Right.
It's my bread, my butter, my bacon, my gas. It's everything.
I love it. I love it. And I know your company is called So It Is Written, and we'll delve more into that and all that you do in the services that you provide. But I kind of wanted to, because the show is called Inspire with Keri, so I kind of want to know a little bit how you got into this for our viewers, like because I know you were a journalist, I think, at one point. So what could you kind of give us kind of the beginning of your career and kind of the trajectory, how you got into the author world and the book world and editing world?
Yeah, and so I tell a lot of people I was the kid who used to write on the walls when I was little and get in trouble for it. Writing on the walls with the crayons and the pens and the pencils
Right.
and whooping, getting a beating. Like, why are you writing on the wall? But then once I got to high school, I was the person who was over like the high school yearbook. We had a high school newspaper, and that's when I knew I had a knack for writing. But even when I was little, I just felt like because I'm an only child, I didn't really have an outlet. So pen and paper was my outlet. The pen and paper doesn't talk back to you. It doesn't reject you. So you can pretty much tell it whatever you want to tell it. And then, of course, I had the little diary with the little lock on it that we thought nobody could break. All
Right.
and so I did. I went the traditional journalism route. I went to the journalism school at the University of Missouri, Columbia.
Okay.
And I just knew that I would work my way up the ranks in a traditional newsroom setting. And we see where newspaper is right now. It's almost obsolete. And so
I would have never
and so
thought that day would have come because I used to read the newspaper every single day when I was little.
Yeah. And so by the time I came out of journalism school, I actually worked at Walt Disney World because I thought, oh, I'll probably connect with like ABC Studios and then with like journalism and broadcast. No, that wasn't it at all.
Yeah.
I was working a ride at Epcot, and that was it. So making about $6 an hour. It was not journalism anything.
Yeah.
So I ended up coming back. My first job out of college in my field was actually editing for the Yellow Pages, if you can remember the Yellow Pages.
Yes.
Now all online, or you can Google it now. But
Right.
when we had the physical Yellow Pages that used to get dropped off on people's porches, I was responsible for editing the ads and the entries for that. And so a lot of my corporate training has been corporate communications. I've done change management. A lot of corporate communication roles with like Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes-Benz. And then probably in July of 2017, I was laid off for the last time. And I decided it was the last time that I would be laid off in corporate America. I was like, I'm just going to do my business and it has to work. There's no plan B.
Yeah.
This is it.
Wow. And so you went ahead and started. Did you have kind of any type of struggles with just getting that off the ground? Because I think people think when they see business owners, I think they have this kind of, they romance it in their mind a little bit, like, oh, I started and it took about 6 months and I got my first clients and then, it provided my lifestyle and that was that. Like, what did you have like kind of stumbling blocks when you first started that, if that's the right term to use, or just kind of struggles? And
Oh, for sure. And I tell people, I said when I first started my business, I wasn't even taking a deposit. Like I was so scared to ask people for the money
Wow.
that I was burning myself on the back end. But more than anything, I don't want people to think like I just woke up a wonder. I started the business in 2009, and even though I was working in corporate America, In the evenings, I was still working on my business. I was actually serving as editorial director for numerous magazines, newspapers. You know, they might have paid me $200 a quarter or whatever, but it's experience. And so all of those things played a part in who I am today, of course. And so I didn't start the business full time, just the business by itself, until July of 2017. So, I mean, that's 8 years later.
Wow, and I like that you talk about even the other jobs you did with Disney and stuff, because I think some people don't understand that even kind of the basic jobs that don't really provide, that you can even learn from that, and that's kind of something you could pull that could help with what you're doing now. Do you find that, or like what lessons even from those types of jobs do you think help you now?
Let me tell you, if you have not been to Walt Disney World, let me tell you, it is literally the happiest place on earth.
Oh,
The customer is always right.
right.
And so, if nothing else, I know that other companies take their employees to Walt Disney just to train them in customer service.
Yeah, I got it.
Because that's like a lost art with a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
particularly entrepreneurs. There is no
Yeah.
showing up late. There is no, okay, you said you wanted that, but it's not in the contract, so I'm not doing it. If I can go above and beyond, and that's the vision and mission of Disney, is to go above and beyond to make sure you're not just pleased, but you're overly pleased. And so for me, that's what I want to do with So It Is Written. Like, I don't want people to say, "Oh yeah, she did it. It was nice." Like,
Right.
no, this was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah, it needs to be memorable. And
that's
so I
right.
tell people, I'm not just doing transactional. Um, I'm not just, getting new clients, and I'm not just creating new transactions. I need to be creating transformation, and I need to be creating an experience for my clients as we go along in the process.
I love that. So, your company, So It Is Written. Can you kind of explain what services you do provide, and what sets you apart from any other company like that, if there is anything that does exactly what you do? Um,
So I think one of the things that sets me apart more recently is I streamlined my services to just 3 packages. So I am only offering signature book coaching to
mhm.
female Christian speakers and coaches. I have ghostwriting services where I write the book for an aspiring author. I interview them, I get all the information, and then I write the content and they approve it. And then I have my done for you publishing packages. So that would be if you wrote your book already, but you don't know what to do next. We take it from Microsoft Word document all the way to print books at your doorstep. And so those are our key signature packages. I think the part that really sets us apart is definitely our writing style. I love storytelling. So even if the book is a self help book, it's a business book, I tell my clients, I'm like, you need to include a story
Yeah,
because we remember the stories more than
that's
we
right.
do the concepts. Like the
That's
Three
right.
Little Pigs. The Three Little Pigs is about building on a firm foundation, but all we remember is the huffing and
Yep,
puffing and blowing the house down and all the
that's
things.
true.
So yeah, it's like we remember the story. It's like green eggs and ham. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense in our logical mind, but what was Dr. Seuss really trying to say? So it's one of those things where people will remember the story and then they'll remember, okay, this was the life lesson in that. So yeah.
Okay. I love that. So you guys, and I read you pretty much do the beginning, the whole process from beginning to end. So so if you have someone who's like, okay, I know I want to write a book, I don't know where to start. You are that person, and you really kind of can complete it from that genesis of that project all the way until the book is published and all of that. So the whole thing.
So what I tell people is for our ghostwriting and our book coaching
Okay.
services is not for fiction authors. It's more so
Okay.
for my nonfiction writers.
Mm,
But for publishing, we do publish all genres. But when it
okay.
comes to the ghostwriting
Hmm.
and the book coaching, it's more focused on nonfiction.
I love that you kind of have you kind of streamlined what you do, because I think that's where a lot of businesses sometimes mess up, is they're not niche enough. It's like, oh, I do it all. And it's better to be really excellent with what you're passionate about and just making that. And I love that, because sometimes I think, I don't want to use the term greed, but I think sometimes it's like, oh, let me just do whatever, do everything. So I kind of like that you kind of have specific, you're specific about what your who your audience is. I also wanted to know, I read that you call yourself, I think, a book bully. Could you explain that? Or I like
so
that.
I don't even call myself that.
People call you that. People call you that. That's what I should say. Can you elaborate on that? I think I know what it's about, and I like that. But could you kind of go into that?
Yeah, so it kind of started on social media actually, where I post these random posts like, is your book done? Or it's September 6th. You have, 90 days to get your book done, or 100, whatever it is. And so people are like, leave me alone. They'll see the post and they're like, oh my God, I feel like you're talking to me. Stop beating me up. So all of these things, so people are like, you're a book bully. Like, if you don't have a book and you are in my circle, if you come even remotely close to me, by the end of our friendship or our conversation that day, you probably have an idea for a book. Like, if we talk long enough now, I can probably give you several book ideas for you to write.
So you pretty much think anyone should write a book? I like that.
And let me preface that by saying we're all experts in something. And so when I say yes, everybody should have a book. Everybody should have a book of what makes them an expert. Mine just happens to be books.
Right.
But for other people, if it's insurance, you need to have a book about how, insurance for dummies. Half of us don't understand our health insurance or our car insurance. We just pay the premium, but we don't know what we get. So again, whatever you're an expert in, even if you're working for another company, if you're a financial advisor, why is money a problem for 95% of America? Like, you need to have a book that solves a problem, but that speaks to your level of expertise. And I tell people, not just for the book, but that book is now going to open 7 to 12 streams of income, speaking, coaching, conferences, workshops, webinars, all the things that you can create just because now you have a blueprint.
I saw an interview you did, and I thought it was interesting how you said the benefit really of also having a book is if you're a speaker or something like that. And if you go on stage and you give your life story or whatever, at the end, if you have a book, people want to probably get a book from you. And I didn't even think about it like that. People like kind of something tangible that they can take back. And I'm an avid reader, so I get it. But I guess I never really thought about it as something everyone could do. My brain has always kind of thought, if you're a writer, you're a writer. If you're not, find something else to do.
But again, it's one of those things where if you have a book that solves a specific problem, I think a lot of people write books and they don't really know who the book is for.
Yes.
So they wrote this book and they're frustrated that it won't sell, but they can't really tell me who it's for. And they'll say, well, it's for women. And I'm like, well, what type of women?
Right.
Like, it can't just be for women. You have to know who you're writing to because you have to speak their language. So is it for entrepreneurs? Is it for solopreneurs? Is it for entrepreneurs who just got started or those who've been in business for 20 years? So it's just different. You have to know who you're targeted to. And I think a lot of people, when they think of a book, they don't think of it being a blueprint that's going to unlock multiple doors and multiple streams of income from them. And that's how I think.
What do you say to someone who's just going to say, well, you know what, I don't need a so it is written or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and just do this on my own. Why do you think they really should go to you? What kind of pitfalls can they fall into if they're just saying, I'm just going to do it on my own? And,
Yeah.
I've never written a book, but I'm going to do it on my own.
Because we're in the DIY society, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody thinks they can do it yourself and on YouTube and all the things. And there are some things that you can do on your own based on a YouTube video. However, you don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
And so I tell a lot of my authors, I'm like, your book doesn't have a barcode on the back. Your book doesn't have the price on the back. Your book doesn't have a gripping enough synopsis on the back. Why don't you have an author photo on the back? Why don't you have a professional bio on the back? So all of these pieces that a lot of authors don't even know they need, when you get ready to pitch to a Barnes and Noble, or like I just got my daughter's book into Meijer, which is a major retailer in the Midwest, they want to see the barcode. They want to see your bio. They want to see what's the synopsis. Send me the summary and overview. And you can't be scrambling to create it because you didn't create it when you published your book. So I tell people, hire the professionals for what the professionals do. Listen, when I want a photo shoot, I want the best of the best. Photographer, makeup artist, stylist, all the people, because I want my pictures to look flawless. So I'm not out here just hiring any old okie doke publisher who says, yes, I publish books. So.
Right. I mean, it's an investment because, I mean, you'll deliver. So people will end up getting back way more than what they invested. So I think that's awesome. What pitfalls do you think people make in general when it comes to editing or anything like that? Is it, I mean...
Yeah, so I think one of the mistakes, well, a couple of mistakes people make, they don't hire a professional editor.
Yeah.
And when I say hire a professional editor, I'm not just talking about one round of edits. Most of my books go through 2 or 3 rounds of edits. So it's not just going through one set of eyes, it's going through 2 or 3 different people on my team.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
because everybody's looking for something different. So I may not catch something that my other editor may catch. And so the other thing I think people miss out on is that front cover design. And I tell people, if you are not Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey, do not put your face on the cover, because you may think you're beautiful. You may think you look like Beyonce, but the person picking up the book may be like, I don't know this person from Adam and Eve. I'm not buying the book. So I think a lot of people get offended when I say that, but it's like, I mean, it's like, yes, you're the brand, but I have 22 books. I have more than 18, and I'm on none of the front covers yet. None. And I could very well probably put myself on the front cover. I just have not yet. So when I go on Oprah, then I'll put myself on the front cover, because then the world will know who I am. Like when you become Tabitha Brown, then you can put yourself on the front cover. Yeah.
Right. And do you all also cover even advertisement stuff? Because it's funny, I saw an interview of yours also where I think one of the hosts, she kind of mentioned, she said a lot of people just think social media is all they need. Like, okay, I'm just going to write a book, and if I just post on social media, then I'm good. Do you all also handle advertisement and marketing and all of that?
So we don't actually have marketing and advertising as part of our packages just yet. But what I do is I position my authors to advertise properly. So I have 2 signature publishing packages where the larger package comes with a press release for you to send out to the media. It comes with a speaker one sheet so that you can start pitching yourself for speaking engagements. And you don't have to send them a boring resume. You can send them a vibrant speaker sheet. It comes with a custom website. A lot of my authors who come to me, they've written a book, but they don't have a website. And I'm like, listen, we're not going to send people to Amazon to buy your book when Amazon is taking 40% of every sale. And a lot of people don't know that. But a lot of people think, oh, I'm on Amazon. That's not always a good thing.
That's good.
The number one place I tell my clients, I'm like, people should be going to your website to get your book, so you get 100% of the proceeds. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but that makes sense. And so if you could tell any author, let's just say social media was not a thing, what is one place that they need to advertise their book at?
So I would say it's different for everybody based on their target market. So I'll give you an example. My daughter's book is Nyla's First Day of Kindergarten. So we market to school districts because it's about kindergartners.
Yes.
And there's always going to be somebody's first day of kindergarten. Her next book is Nyla's First Visit to the Dentist. Where will I market? To the dentist office.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Because
I might have to get that.
Because if they can buy them in bulk and then they just give them to the kids as they come in for their first dentist appointment, it's like a giveaway and it's a write-off for the dentist. They'll probably buy hundreds of them. So it's one of those things of you really have to know who your target market is. So like for us, I have a book called Hush, which is helping men and women heal from sexual abuse. So a lot of our promotions is to the agencies that are centered around healing from sexual abuse and a lot of the shelters in the area and things like that.
Got it. Awesome. And even with things like libraries and stuff, do you all also teach the authors how to get their stuff into that? Because I mean, this is not my world at all, but it probably sounds like common sense, but I have no idea. I've always wondered, how does it get into libraries? Do they have the publishers? How does that all work?
Yeah, so ironically, you say that a lot of people do not have a Library of Congress number, which means if you don't have a Library of Congress number, you cannot take your books to any local library in the United States, period. The Library of
Interesting.
Congress is a national government entity, so it has to be registered with the Library of Congress. And then I'm able to take my physical books into, say, the Rochester Library. I live in Rochester, Michigan, and I can take my daughter's book in there. They'll look at it and they'll tell me if they can put 5 on the shelf or whatever. Most libraries, because it's community based, they're not going to buy them. But if you want to give them so many copies to put them on the shelf, they will.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a segue because I know you're also a speaker. So how did you get into that? How long have you been doing that? And how did that kind of start?
I tell people both speaking and coaching chose me. I used to hate public speaking, and now
Really?
it's like my kryptonite now. I get so much energy from speaking in front of live audiences, whether it's virtual or it's in person. I love it. I love getting on stage. I love getting the people hyped. But of course, my first speaking engagements, they were far and few because they were all about editing tips. So my company was originally started just as an editorial company. So all we did was editing and proofreading for independent authors before they went to print. We didn't publish, we didn't do press releases, we didn't do bios. All of that stuff was added later. At the very foundation of who we were, it was just an editing company. That was it.
Wow, wow. And so when you speak now, I think you share about like your testimony and stuff, and you can kind of delve into how much ever you feel comfortable with. But how did that start with sharing your testimony? Where did that when did you start doing those type of speaking engagements?
Probably the last 5 years, I would say. I think a lot of people just honestly watch me on social media. I'm pretty open on social media. Like I tell people, my life is an open book.
Yeah.
Literally, if it happened to me, it's probably in a book somewhere. So if you want to know me, just go on my website and order all 22 books.
Right.
You will know well. And so it's one of those things where I just feel like, number one, I had to learn too that I'm here as a solution to a problem, probably multiple problems. But one of those is sexual abuse. And so I have made it my mantra to be a voice for those who feel like they don't have a voice. And so I'm very adamant and very bold about talking about healing from molestation, rape, sexual abuse, healing from depression, mental health issues, suicidal thoughts, like all of the things that I have overcome. And I know there are people still suffering in silence with those things. I share my story periodically, or there are people who will come in, and like I have to go next week to Ohio, and they want me to speak on releasing the baggage. So even with releasing the baggage, I'm using the whole analogy of when you prepare to, get on a flight, the first thing you got to do, you got to go to bag drop. You can't take all the bags with you on the plane. So all of the things that I've been through is all, I just work it into my speaking engagements. Sometimes people give me a topic, like in October I have to be in Tampa, and that's a writers conference. So they want me to talk about how to write your story, how to craft your story, where do you start. So it really just depends on the platform.
I love that. Where does your faith come into play when it comes to even just your business or with speaking or in all of that? How has that helped you?
Yeah, I was saying it's one of those things that it's who I am. So it's not either or. It's not like I lay down my Christianity and my God talk because I'm on stage in front of entrepreneurs. That's who I am, and I choose to integrate that into my business. And so if they are calling on me, they know what they're gonna get. So it's not like I have to be somebody that I'm not. Now, if I'm in a room with professional executives at Chrysler or something like that, I may use the principles, but I may not say God said or the Bible says. This book that I really love says, treat others like you want to be treated. So principles are the same. But you don't have to be churchy and religious. And, I was reading this book one time and it said, so yeah.
Well, I want to know what advice do you have? Let's just say we have someone who's watching right now, and they're even struggling now with depression, or they've been through molestation or whatever, and it's just kind of something that's holding them back from really kind of accomplishing their dreams. They feel alone, and they just don't know how to get out of this so that they can go and accomplish their goals like you are. What could you tell them right now, do you think?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you're going to have a community. You're going to have accountability. And so one big piece for me has been accountability partners and or community groups where I'm literally gathering with the same people every week for 8 to 10 weeks, and then we take a break and then we come back together. So that's been a lot of the maintenance for me to maintain sanity and not to fall into a depression, not to fall into suicidal thoughts, or I can be around some people who are there to pick me up. If I feel like I'm in a ditch, I'm surrounded by 10 other people who can kind of hold my hands up until I get my bearings again. The other thing I tell people is do what you love. Like really sit down and figure out what is your passion? Like what do you really like? Like if you could do anything in the world all day, every day, 24 hours a day, what would it be? And for me, it's writing. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I go back to the bottom of the barrel. I will write when I'm not paid to write. So I tell people, yes, you may be paid to do it, but if you weren't paid $1 to do it, would you still do it? And the answer is yes. So so you have to find that one thing. We all have that one thing, and I believe we're all here to solve a specific problem. Yeah. So I tell people, you're here to be a solution in the earth for something. So find that problem and solve it.
I love that. And what's next for you on the horizon? What's something you're working on that you'd like the audience to know about?
Oh gosh, so I am working on my first short film. It's called What Happens in This House. It is centered around the old adage of what happens in this house stays in this house, and it's all about generational sexual abuse and trauma. And then working on probably doing my stage production again based on my best-selling book, When the Smoke Clears, A Phoenix Rises. And we did the stage play in 2017 and 2018. So it's been probably 3 or 4 years. And so I'm going to bring it back. We did it to a sold out audience downtown Detroit in those years. So running that again, and then looking at doing it as a full feature film. So taking it from the stage and then to the theater.
I love that. I love that. Well, honestly, this has been such a pleasure to talk to you. I'm just taking it all in and learning and all of that. And I thank you so much for coming on. So the name of your business is So It Is Written, and the website is soitiswritten.net.
.net, yes.
All right. But thank you so much for coming on board and just and sharing your testimony, sharing more about your company. I think this will really inspire our audience. And thank you so much. And
thank
everyone,
you for having me.
Tenita Johnson. Thank you.